Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World. I am Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. Tonight, I'm going to be taking on the topic of climate change. The bell tolls for us. And I'm going to be saying this again in a minute because I know people are sort of gathering now. But I like to keep things light and funny to the degree that I can, no matter how sad and tragic and ridiculous we are, but I'm having a little trouble laughing at this one. So we'll see, maybe with you here, I'll get in a better mood. But before I go on with this topic, I'd like to introduce you to sweet baby James, who's going to introduce our show.
Yes, thank you, Beth. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have our opportunity here to experience Grow, Granny Rocks Our World, where Granny is sharing with us her wisdom, her wit, and her uncommon sense. So now, Granny, take it away.
Hi there. So welcome to those who are joining us. And Tracy said hi, and we're going to say hi back, right back at you. And anybody else want to say hi who's on, please feel free. Oh, Bob said Bob and Carol are watching. Uh-oh, they're watching me, James.
Uh-oh.
I think I'd better get in a better mood because I'm being watched here. I don't want to ruin my reputation as having wit.
Big Brother
as well
Bob.
As wisdom.
Big Brother Bob is watching.
Okay. And Erica said, climate change? What climate change? It isn't so. How true, how true. And we're already getting to the spirit. Amy said, hi, Beth and SBJ. It should be a bit tough to be lighthearted about this topic, but if anyone can, it's you. Oh, no, the pressure mounts.
My,
I have to. Well, let me tell you something. You know, there's another cyclone bomb event going over to the Midwest, and there's going to be more snow and more flooding and all of that. But it's also flooding where we are. Now, those of you, well, you don't know this, those of you who don't know us, that like last year we had forest fires galore. The year before we had forest fires too, that started in June. And we got evacuated. And then after them, so we got into the winter, and then we got this hellacious snow event that nobody has seen anything like it, and we were out of internet and out of power and all of that.
Yeah, this very winter.
That's right.
Weeks ago.
Just a few weeks ago. And now we have a mega rainstorm. There's flooding. The river is rising. Fortunately, we are way above the river, but we are on the river, and the roads are being flooded, and people are, and there's
sounds like the bell is tolling pretty loud.
The bell is tolling, guys. You know what I'm saying? And it's going over to the Midwest again, and the Northeast, and then of course the South, and they had the flooding, and California had its own share. Bob said, watching and learning. Yes. And Luann is waving and sending us music and sunshine. Oh, yeah, we could use a little sunshine right now. But the point is, of course, that this isn't just like, oh, well, why are you living there? You have such terrible weather. We've never had terrible weather before like this. But wherever you live, I mean, if you were in Southern California, you were either in drought or you were having mudslides, or you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It's not.
But ain't one thing, it's another.
And this is here, so it's pretty obvious that the bell is tolling. Now, people have been warning us about climate change for decades.
That's right.
But did we listen? Some of us did, but a lot of us didn't. Right. And we have the deniers in chief as president. The Chinese hoax has reached the shores of the U.S. I mean, why we don't impeach the president for lying to us about climate change, is rather than that he made gross remarks about women. I mean, not to say that gross remark about women is not anything but disgusting. But what I'm saying is that we are still having a government of people who are taking no accountability for the biggest crisis in human history since probably natural climate change wiped out, all kinds of people and species. And anyway, see, I am able to sort of laugh a little bit. But this is a much bigger topic than just climate change. I bet you guessed that. I was going to throw something else in. Right? The bell is always tolling for us because we are caught up in short-term, me-based thinking And as long as we do that, we're going to continue to manifest stupidities such as man or woman or human made climate change that we deny. Now, simultaneously with us denying, we know now it has been exposed that the fossil fuel industry was preparing for climate change. They said, oh, they have to protect their, equipment from the climate change that doesn't exist, does it?
They know it exists.
Of course they do. And get this, today I read in the news that the real estate industry is beginning to take seriously that they have to, when they're in their market, some financial whatever, take it into account that there's climate change and that certain, properties are going to be devalued or whatever it is that the hell they're going to do. It's like, oh, I guess they knew that there's climate change. I guess everybody knows that there's climate change, except some of the idiots, and I shouldn't call them idiots because it's insulting idiots, who are running our government. No, I mean that. I don't mean any disparagement of people who have a low IQ, who are born with a low IQ. I mean, those people, that's their life. And some of us are born with a very low IQ body, such as me. You know what I mean? So,
but luckily a high IQ brain.
That's right. And Helen and Richard are here. That's great. But people, I'm talking about idiots. When I'm talking about idiots, I mean people who ignore the obvious for
Aggrandizement.
What the hell is that? That self is where you get benefit for yourself. Self-serving reasons. Either they blind themselves to the truth, or they know the truth and they lie anyway. Just like the lead industry knew that they were dumping a toxic chemical into the water supply. They knew it was toxic and they did it anyway, and they said it made us well, right?
Yeah, they were advertising that lead was good for you. It's good to have that in the pipes.
Good, very good to have that. So we have, I suppose, asbestos is good for the lungs, and so is coal dust, So what we see, guys, is people who either knowingly lie, knowing that they are lying, or people who want to be ignorant so that they don't have to deal with the truth. Hello, Elizabeth. She said, hello, Beth and James. Glad to see you all here. I don't feel so alone with this. So today, I've been watching the river rise in our backyard.
Yeah, that would be the McKenzie River.
Yes.
Ta-da!
And fortunately, we happen to have a house that is going to have to be like a Noah's Ark situation before the water gets to it.
It's above the floodplain.
But, that could happen. Let's not be stupid. Anything can happen in this crazy world now. And then, of course, we have all the snowpack, which could melt and then drown everybody.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, other people are already, being flooded. We are all paying the price of short-term thinking. It isn't just the people in Washington or the venal and corrupt politicians or the venal and corrupt business people who pretend that they don't know that this is real. It's us, because there are things we don't want to know either.
We still want gasoline for our cars.
We do. In fact, we
Oil for the
want
heat.
something that has gasoline in it. Let's not even put it on other people. Of course we need to have alternatives. I mean, let's face it. Most of us would do better if we could. All of a sudden we can't recycle plastic, or you have to do this, you have to jump through a hoop, and some of us are too adult to even know where the hoop is anymore to jump through it. What I'm saying? It's not easy when you're old, when you're sick, when you're disabled, to be able to do all of these things. We would like it to be, give me alternative. I would pay more for this if it was clean energy. There are people who are taking this seriously at last, right? But it's a little bit late in the game for us to be noticing. I mean, now all of a sudden the Democrats are coming in. It's like, whoa, there's climate change. Well, there's been climate change. The glaciers have been melting. You know what I mean? Hello, Sarah. Meat eaters should not complain about climate change. Well, one of the factors is meat. That
Mhm.
is one of the factors. Um,
Remember Cowspiracy?
Cowspiracy, yes.
It's a documentary that documents how so much cattle raising and feeding has created so much pollution into the air and cut down a lot of forests for grazing.
But you know, all of us have some arena in which we are self-centered or short-term in our thinking. In fact, reading about that or learning about that changed our eating habits.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot be completely vegetarian, but we've gone a lot in that direction.
Yeah.
And we eat very little meat or poultry or fish. So, but what I want to bring it to, Sarah, is all of us. It's like, what do I want to be in denial about? You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share something. A lovely woman that I met years and years ago, she said to me, we were having a workshop and I was talking about smoking. And, you know, smoking, of course, is very bad for your health, right? But she wanted to smoke. And she was in denial about that. And she was a healthcare professional, by the way.
Mm.
But then on top of that, she was in denial of the impact that her smoke was having on other people, right? You see, we do things without, we think that we can drink or get high or not sleep enough and that it's just impacting us, but that's not true. Because if we're not fit, we are more likely to have an accident. If we're beginning to get some form of dementia and we don't want to face that, we might be driving when we shouldn't be. There are so many things that we do that cause damage, not only to ourselves, but also to other people. Now, what I'd like you to do is, if you're up for it, is to think about one thing, maybe just one thing that you are still doing where you're showing a little bit of short-term thinking or me-based. You know what I mean by short-term? Like you're not looking so, oh, yes, coal, fossil fuel, drill, baby, drill. And without any regard to what this is going to do to in the long term. Oh, it's creating jobs. It's making money for billionaires. This is really important. Or something that is all me-based. It's like, this is all about me. This is what I want. It really doesn't make any difference. I don't really impact anybody. This doesn't impact anybody. Just think about that for 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is about you, not about other people.
I've got one.
Oh, goody.
Going as paperless as possible to preserve the trees, creating the oxygen.
So
for the
are you
everyday.
saying that you don't do that?
I could do better.
Okay. Here's a guy who's admitting that he should go paperless more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Erica says, I still drive a gas-powered car along with crowds of others to hide amongst. Okay, I'm going to give you one. We have a house that we have sold. It hasn't really taken that long, but it's, oh my God, we're touch and go on our finances, right? We really need to sell it. And we want to sell it to the highest bidder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I am not necessarily thinking about, I'm trying to think about who should this house go to. If I was really thinking about the highest good of all, who really should get this house? Oh my God, it may not be the person that I want it to be because it's me-based thinking because I want to get the highest price. Maybe the person who gets that house needs it for some purpose that's really going to benefit humankind, or maybe they're just piggy and they don't want to pay what they should, right? They could be doing their short-term thinking also. But okay, that's a different kind of example. If there are no other examples, I know you know them. So how do we address that in ourselves? First of all, we have to be realistic about our capacities. I have tried to go vegetarian dozens of times. Each time I get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And then I couldn't get on this show and I couldn't cajole you about, anything. So that's why, I've looked at what can we do? What can we do in that arena? But
Right.
Whatever it is that you can actually, so be realistic about what you can do. And what is a possibility for you, what the society supports. I'd like to be able to, not carpooling out of convenience. Oh, Tracy, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Elizabeth, I haven't found alternative ways to get materials that are recyclable to plants to recycle them. We don't have to pick up like we used to since China no longer takes our recycling on West Coast. Well, we have plastic Roundup here on the Mackenzie River. We have to find out about it, that they're picking up on Saturdays. I don't know where it's going, but you might as well check it out. I am going to tell you the truth. I do not. And Shauna says, recycling, oh my God, it all becomes so overwhelming. That's exactly the point, Shauna. I'm with you. I am willing to admit that. I get overwhelmed. Helen said we order off Amazon, and even though we recycle the boxes, there's lots of packaging that is not recyclable. But is that worse than driving to the store? This is great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, I haven't ridden my bike to work. I still drive because it's quicker. You see, we have to be in reality about what we can do. I could not bicycle to work. First of all, I would have to bicycle from the bedroom to the studio because my work is in the same house. Thank God.
Down the hallway.
Because I can neither ride a bicycle nor drive a car. But I couldn't ride a bicycle if it was the planet depended on it. So what can we do? I want to come back to this thing. I am going to, I want to take on something that I really can do. If you are too sick to bicycle, if you feel overwhelmed, pick something. And let us simultaneously hold accountable a government and business and with those people who have the energy, who have the know-how, there are so many people out there who are thinking of brilliant ideas. I would love to hear more and more and more, and you hear about it every day. Brilliant things that people are doing. Let's not just get negative here. There are people who are coming up with all kinds of solutions. Let's embrace them. But let's look at things in ourselves that are even on an emotional level, not just on an external level. Not that that isn't crucially important, but what ways am I behaving that make me feel good in the short term, but have long-term negative consequences? And I'll give you one more example. Anger. Anger is spiritual pollution. Now, I am not saying that we never should be angry. I have never said that. You can read my books. But we don't hang on to anger. We have to recognize that there is a short-term boof with anger, which can actually project us forward. Like, I'm really angry that this government is pretending there is no problem with climate change and that we're not accountable for it. So that might get me to the polls or might get me activated or something. So there's something good about anger. But to live in anger, no, we become the polluters. And if I stay angry at the people who are ignoring climate change, I am having a short-term feeling of self-righteousness. But in the long term, I am putting out pollution, spiritual pollution to the world. So we can think about this on so many different levels. Self-pity, anger, competition, as well as pigginess about money, or like I was describing, or not doing the things that we can for our environment, whether it's the spiritual environment, the emotional environment, the physical environment. And they're going to come after me with a butterfly net because I have overstayed my stay today, my invitation, and we've got to go. Remember, Growth, Wednesday nights, 7 to 8 Pacific time.
Yes.
Check it out under our events. Check it out on the post. Will give you ways of going to Growth, which is a great video conversation. You can even join us by phone. The first time you come to this ongoing group, it's free. What have you got to lose? That's a great way of connecting to us. Tracy says thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much,
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.
See you on Wednesday, right? It's
Yeah.
Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.